The stories that are the headlines.
And the stories behind the headlines. This is Storycon. I'm Patrick Paes.
I'm Ed Lingao. It's Wednesday, February 21. Here are some of our headlines today. The U.S. Embassy in Manila expresses confidence that Pastor Apollo Quiboloy will face justice for his, and we quote, heinous crimes. For her part, Senator Risa Ontiveros believes the Kingdom of Jesus Christ leader is only playing victim. Quiboloy had claimed that the U.S. is conspiring with the Philippine government to have him either kidnapped or assassinated. Quiboloy is in the FBI's most wanted list for sex trafficking, fraud, and cash smuggling.
Speaking of Quiboloy, Vice President Sara Duterte has denied accusations that she received contraband firearms from the pastor. Duterte said she will focus on her work instead of addressing this issue. A former Kingdom of Jesus Christ or KOJC member earlier claimed seeing the Vice President and her father, former President Rodrigo Duterte, leaving Quiboloy's residence with bags of guns. Okay.
A total of 57 congressmen have signed a manifesto rejecting the idea of former President Rodrigo Duterte for a separate Mindanao. The document was signed by 53 Mindanao lawmakers, 3 party-list congressmen, and 1 House member from the Visayas.
And China is accusing the Philippines of stirring trouble in the region following Manila and Washington's recent joint air patrol over the West Philippine Sea. The maritime activity involves 3 Philippine Air Force F-150 fighter jets and B-52H heavy bombers of the United States Indo-Pacific Command. The Philippine Air Force says the patrol was not directed at China or any other country, but it happened somewhere up north.
Bandang
northern
Candon,
part of the Philippines,
Bandang
right.
Candon, Ilocos ata.
Yeah.
Near Mindoro. Remember, these are B-52s. These are really old aircraft.
But they're very large.
They're huge. They're humongous.
huge.
I think they're among the biggest in the U.S. inventory kasi the wingspan alone is incredible. It has 8 engines.
8 engines.
And it has to be supported on either side by small wing, kasi the wings droop eh. It's so large eh. So may support siya, may tukod siya kumbaga.
May scaffolding pag nasa runway.
It was built in 1951 or 52.
Where did this aircraft take off from? I mean,
Could have come from Guam.
from Guam all
Yeah.
the way here? It can?
Yeah.
With all the engines and all the fuel?
Yeah.
Okay.
Before they used to have Guam as one of the staging areas for bombing North Vietnam with the B-52s during Rolling Thunder.
Yeah.
So it's really long range.
Because
In fact, they also used B-52s to
bomb Japan.
from the US to bomb the Middle East.
The Middle East, right? From the US, all the way from the US to the. But we've heard from a friend, from a source over the weekend that there were a number of takeoffs of United States Navy aircraft from Dalawag Airport.
I'm wondering lang what kind of Navy aircraft these are. Kasi if these are large Navy aircraft, they're either reconnaissance aircraft or cargo aircraft. Kasi typically yung Navy combat aircraft are kind of small eh. Kasi they have to land on the ships.
So, but that in effect suggests that there's some U.S. access
quite a lot of activity, yeah.
There's U.S. access on Lawag Airport. Kala namin, Cagayan lang eh. Ang
sa
EDCA
Lalo.
site, right?
Sa Lalo. That would have been the newer airstrip for
But
the
very
aircraft.
small, not
Yeah.
yet capable of taking in large
And
U.S.
I don't think
combat
they have
ships.
the equipment yet
Airship,
for
right.
except for the longest time, ang Lalo was unused.
Lawag would be better equipped, better ready. The runways are big, but we know that's not part of EDCA. But let's see. Anyway, de facto, they've been taking off from there. Anyway, joining the Storycon now is security analyst Chester Cabalza. Maybe he has some more details for us about the activity of the U.S. in the northern part of our country.
Prof.
Good afternoon, Prof.
Yes, good afternoon, Sir Patrick and Sir Ed.
Yes.
Thanks for having me in your program again.
We wanted you yesterday as soon as we heard about this U.S. Activity in northern Philippines, no? But we understand that you had some meetings in
I had a
Capaganaldo.
meeting
So, baka may bago.
with the DND officials.
Yan, oo.
Yeah.
Would that meeting be related to the supposed activity? of the United
No
States.
comment, but
No
it's
comment.
another meeting. But nonetheless, when you look at the northern frontier of the Philippines, it seems like we are preparing for the aerial flights. No, of course, you have Lawag International Airport. Also, you have I've seen the one in Lalo in Cagayan, the EDCA site for the airport. It's an international airport in terms of the size.
Oh.
And then, of course, Clark would be the aviation hub. I was like suggesting to DND officials that lately, of course, no, in public safety, they have already academies for the police and the Coast Guard. Because in Philippine public safety, ang natira na lang doon, of course, the only two other major services left there would be the jail and the fire. So I was also pitching to them that maybe we can do that for the armed forces. Like say for example, you can have the PMA for the army, and then perhaps another academy for the Air Force in Clark, and then Naval Academy somewhere in Palawan because of its proximity to the West Philippine Sea. So that's a grand idea that I would like the AFP would look at also, because of course in the US they have already the West Point in New York, the Naval Academy in of course in Maryland, and then of course they have also the Air Force Academy. So to specialize, because right now there is a proposal to at least upgrade the higher education for senior military officers. Like say for example, you have the Command and General Staff College. That's the highest military education for senior military officers, and I teach at both at the CGSC and at the National Defense College, and the National Defense College would be the strategic. So there is now the suggestion that they will try to fuse it and lower also the ranks for those who are taking the Masters in National Security Administration. But nonetheless, the question that you are asking, sirs, is the aviation hub and what is happening recently with this joint
If you
aerial
can go,
patrol.
Mr. Cabalza, if you can go straight to the aerial patrol that supposedly happened the last few days. Yes.
Yeah. I think
Why
that's a
at
part
this
of
point?
the FONOPS.
What's the timing?
I think that's part of the FONOPS that we are fighting for ever since, freedom of navigation and overflight. This is the overflight that what we are seeing right now is the right to fly in the contested zones, aerial zones. No, definitely it is a way of testing also what would be the scope and space for the deployment, because of course it's not only the maritime domain, but you have to look at the aerial zones also. No, you have the ADIZ, the identification zone for area for air.
Mr.
That is
Cabalza.
also a military operation.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Cabalza, what kind of significance should we attach to the participation of this flying fortress in the joint patrol? We all know naman yung flying fortress. Taga-bomba yan, pang-carpet bombing yan, di ba?
Yeah.
So,
we saw, of course, yung Midway in Netflix, di ba? How the Air Force come into consonance, no, especially during war, no, they have a special role, especially if you do external defense. Most likely, the two important services would be Navy and Air Force.
Okay, but this specific aircraft, the B-52 bombers, they're not for bombing naval assets, are they? I think they're more for bombing. Correct me if I'm mistaken. They're more for bombing land assets.
Yeah, I agree, and that is also just a rehearsal of the flight plan, basically. Although 2 weeks ago I was in Pag-asa Island, we flew over C-295. It's a small cargo aircraft.
Two engine, yes sir.
Yeah. I think this one is for cargo patrol only. It's not for military maneuver.
Okay.
Sir, but I suppose some people are wondering specifically why have an exercise with a 70-year-old bomber. I know
yung
it's still
tanong ni Ed.
useful.
Yeah, it's a good question.
I know it's still very useful.
Right.
I mean, they use it against targets that are basically, unable to strike back with relative ease. For example, Iraq, Syria, hindi nga Syria eh. Kasi
Yeah,
Syria may
yeah,
missiles
yeah.
eh. Pero these are not exactly new.
State of
You
the
have
art.
B1, you have
Yeah.
B2,
You have the stealth bombers, right? Oh.
and you have all those.
Yeah.
But here you have something
Agree.
different
In my point of view, of course, no. When these big armaments are not being used, nasisira kasi ito eh. So it has to be just like cars. No, you have to use it regularly. No,
Paikutin nyo lang
I
yung-
think the biggest aircrafts that we have are C-130 and C-150. So we have to use that also for cargo. Every day we use that also. And I think the Americans also would want to use it, no, especially in their patrol, joint aerial patrol. So partly it's for technical reason. Secondly, it could be for reconnaissance purposes also.
Okay.
Parang paikutin
there's,
lang is.
there's probably tactical reasons for this. A tactical reason.
Yes. Because of the technicality of the aircraft, no, especially if you do external defense, where these are technical, no, especially for ships, vessels, aircrafts, you have to use it. Otherwise, if you just dock and park it, then that would be a problem. The more it would be destroyed, and it's gonna be more expensive for us to maintain it.
Did this B-52 take off from Hawaii or Guam or somewhere in the Philippines? Do we know? Do you have info on that?
I have no direct information about that, but I guess it flew. I agree with Sir Ed, somewhere in Guam, not because otherwise, if it flew from the Philippines, we have already heard it from the Philippine Air Force.
Oo, nakita na yan. Laki, no? Hindi mo matatago. yan.
Malaki.
Tsaka may isa-
Malamang kung Pilipinas yan, sa Clark yan.
Oo. Not even
The
Lawag
Clark,
can take that aircraft, the Lawag runway.
It's Lawag runway is an international airport, so it can accommodate. They have that capability and capacity to do that. But I don't think that it would come from Lawag. I bet it would be from Clark if it's from the Philippines. Because the aerodrome of the Philippines in terms of the largeness, I think we have better aviation hub in Clark.
So this image that we're seeing is the B-52 bomber being escorted by Filipino F-1
FA-50.
FA-50 fighters. Tama ba yan, Mr. Cabalza?
Yes po. I think that's a standard operations, no, SOP. Whenever you have foreign planes, it should be escorted by us. No, otherwise it would be construed as encroachment in our territory. Because
Sir,
of course the air is still part of our territory.
Tsaka sir, yung B-52, smoke belcher yan eh. Baka mahuli ng MMDA yan.
Yes. Luma na kasi.
Matinding
I
smoke
think
belcher
parang
yan.
Parang equivalent ng yung pre-modernized jeepney.
Oo.
Yan,
Tsaka yung
hindi.
mga bus sa EDSA. walang panama dyan.
Yan. Kapanahunan niya, di ba yung mga sinaunang jeepney?
1951, 1952.
Mr. Cabalza, is there some timing involved in this joint air patrol? I mean, the reason I'm asking is because we remember it's 2024. And I remember about a year ago, or maybe more than a year ago, this U.S. Air Force general was saying that they expect something to happen in the Taiwan Strait sometime around 2024. So,
All right. I don't think that is really connected to the Taiwan issue, but these are some of my presumptions here.
Okay.
We have a law in the AFP where the US still sells their armaments to us second hand. It's in the law where we have to allot that. But because I sit in some of the thesis panel where there are some writings about that. But I always challenge it because it defeats the purpose of modernization. If we have still that law and we keep on buying secondhand or like this, planes, aircrafts, then sayang yung pera natin. No, that's the reason why I keep on telling the officers that we have to halt this already, stop it, no, and
Yeah.
focus on the brand new planes, aircrafts, and vessels that and submarines, no. Kasi otherwise, that defeats the military modernization. I don't know if it's just a parang ano yan tinetest whenever you buy a car, di ba? You test drive also. I don't know if it's part of the testing of the plane also. But this has I don't think this is related to the geopolitical risk that we are seeing right now in Taiwan.
Is there rising tension right now, or are we seeing
No, no,
a
no.
continuous stowing since the APEC summit in San Francisco, where Xi and Biden met? Is that still
Right.
holding?
I don't think right now we saw some tranquility in the West Philippine Sea. In terms of the U.S.-China relations, it's clear quiet lately because of of course, out of respect for the upcoming elections in the U.S. I think China is also watching what would happen between the truce of Biden and Trump. I don't think this has implications to the geopolitical situation happening right now.
Sir, bantayan niyo sir, baka mamaya bumili tayo ng B-52. Matanda pa, matanda pa yung sa mga general natin. Tapos walang parking yan. Mahirap iparada.
Wala. I think part din ng military modernization is the enlargement of the aerodrome, no? Kasi yung air power, I sat in many of the thesis panel of the students were of course coming from the Air Force. They wanted also to expand yung mga base, naval air bases natin and yung aerodrome facilities. I don't think that of course no, while you do this, you have to capacitate also the size of the planes, no. So hopefully
Yes, sir.
we have better aerodrome facilities in the future.
Okay.
Sir, but sir, we're still stuck with the lift aircraft, lead-in fighter trainers. I know it was a necessary purchase because we also kahit paano needed to transition to lead-in fighter trainers. But where do we head from here? We've heard
very
about
good, very good.
we've heard about the F-16 possibilities. We've heard about possibilities for Saab and all that. But in the end, di ba, titimbangin mo yung mga yan how large is the logistics expense for maintenance?
So tayo
and all that.
makakamura.
Oo.
For me, what I think the requirement there is the multi-role
Aircraft.
capacity of the planes, aircraft, no, and the helicopters. Kaya nga ang nag-focus tayo recently on the Black Hawk HADR helicopters because of course the country is very vulnerable when it comes to natural disasters, no. This is not only used for war fighting but for HADR, yung natural calamities also. So those are the multi-role purposes of it, no. So especially now, I think ang focus for the third horizon would be on the submarines, no, more on naval. Kasi the second leg, I think they focus on the Air Force, air power. That's the reason why we have 3 295 lately. Nasakyan ko na yung isang 295 ko Pag-asa 2 weeks ago. I think they focus more on the Black Hawks and other war fighting planes, no. So
Attack.
doon sila nag-focus during the second horizon. But I think for the third horizon, they will focus on the naval capability of the country.
Sir, there was mention made of possibility of buying a submarine earlier on, a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
Of course, it's an interesting possibility, but it's also a frightening possibility considering how sometimes we tend to scrimp on maintenance expenses. Not the fault of our armed forces, but actually it's a matter of planning and budgeting.
Budgeting.
Kasi in the end, ang barko pag hindi na maintain, titigil. Ang submarine pag hindi na maintain,
Lulubog.
hindi nalilitaw. Completely, diba? You're talking about two completely different concepts.
Right.
Ang eroplano
Yeah,
hindi
yeah.
lilipad, pero ang submarine yun nga eh.
And we saw that accident in Indonesia a few years
Yeah,
ago, no?
yeah. And then you also had the Scorpion, the Thresher in 1960. Nuclear submarines that sank with all lives on board because of something as simple as yung welding joints. Simple things that count.
I agree. Yeah. But it depends on how these investors, no, or foreign sellers would pitch it. Like say for example, part of the package of the French, no, because of course they were the first ones to offer a good package for the Philippines. Part of selling the submarine would be the training for the personnel, military personnel. That's why many of our mariners and submariners and sailors went to France already to study it. And then of course, no, we cannot afford yet what US, UK can offer because that's the ano no yung part ng AUKUS yung sinasabi ninyo kanina yung power that's expensive for us. Maybe for us I think yung what we can afford would be what the French, Korean and the Spaniards will offer to us. The Spanish will offer to us, no, more on Scorpion and yung hindi siya yung high powered, no, just like what the British and the Americans will offer to us, no.
Ano yun, sir,
But
diesel?
of course,
these are diesel subs.
yes.
posibleng
The diesel
nuclear one,
subs
ano?
lang ito. Diesel
Diesel
subs. I heard mukhang dalawa yung bibilhin, no? Because what happened during the previous administration, supposedly we will be buying already. Pero mas pinili nila yung surface vessels, no?
Okay.
We bought 4 brand new for surface vessels for maritime patrol, no? I think that was spent for that. Hopefully for this third leg under this administration, we will have 2 of the diesel submarines, no. I think it's high time kasi si Myanmar nga it has 2 already, no.
Okay. Okay. Pero
Hindi naman siya
Mr.
maritime
Cabalza,
country yung Myanmar. Yeah.
before the submarines, I understand, kailangan yung multi-role fighter muna, di ba? So ano na yung
Yes,
nangyaring
yes.
pangarap na F-16 ng Philippine Air Force? I mean, is that moving or are we just going to settle for buying those Swedish Gripens?
The Gripen.
Maganda yung offer ng Sweden din. Parang just like what the French are offering, they will offer it into yung mas murang package and then
Okay.
intermittent yung payment, no?
Am I right to think that the Swedish offer becomes relevant, it's only becoming relevant or moving because the F-16 is not
quite
happening.
expensive.
It's not happening. I mean, isn't the U.S. supposed to help us acquire those F-16s as part of EDCA?
Sir, this is also a question of military business, no? So part of that is, military equipment is public investment, no? There's money on it, no? I remember based from stories from my military senior official students, no? They would say that the Americans whenever they sell something to us, hindi siya kompleto, no? It just so happened that we have in our bidding system kasi we have to look at the lowest bidder, and then of course, no,
Right.
part of that is the package, no. So I think we cannot afford what the US is offering to
Okay,
us.
but
That's
we're
the
not
reason
simple
why even
clients. We're not
they are
simple
an
buyers,
ally.
Mr. Cabalza. Aren't we
Yeah.
more than just simple buyers
We're
or clients?
special siopaw.
We're supposed to be allies. And we signed up to those. We allowed access to those 4
I agree.
EDCA
I
sites.
totally agree with you, sir.
Isn't there supposed to be
I totally
some
agree.
give
Part
and
of
take
the
here?
reciprocity,
Right,
supposedly,
right.
right? Yes, I agree to that kind of perspective, and hopefully our American friends will also reconsider and rethink it because, of course, we are also risking our alliance with them. No, given that, of course, part of what we are doing is, of course, no, the larger view of the common ground on our national interest between the US and the Philippines. No? So we are risking our ties with them. Hopefully, they will consider also some packages on our advantage.
Mr. Cabalza, why do you think the U.S. is hesitant or being less than generous to its ally? Is it a question of number one, lack of inventory for these F-16s? Is it
It's one of the most
anxiety?
one of the most produced fighter aircraft.
I know, but there's war in Ukraine, for example. I understand that. Is it a question of prioritizing certain theaters of conflict? Dun muna sa Ukraine? Or is it walang tiwala na baka hindi kaya alagaan ng Philippine Air Force mechanics yan? Or So which is it? Why the
I think all of
reservation
the
from the
above.
US?
Because I think the problem also with us Filipinos, we don't know how to haggle. No, I would remember
Yun.
Pakistan. I'll use the case of Pakistan. How come that they have given a lot? I'm trying to be critical here.
Right.
No,
Right.
they've given a lot to Pakistan, especially during their war on terror. No, uh, tinapyas nila lahat ng utang ng Pakistan for the sake that they will gain the alliance of Pakistan, no? Because the tendency, if they will lose Pakistan, all of the terrorist organizations will come back to them, no? So
Right.
same as true with the geopolitical importance of the Philippines now. How come that we are getting minimal support coming from the Americans, no? So hopefully our friends from the US will also consider, no, all of the reasons that you mentioned, Sir Pat. No, I also subscribe to that. Hopefully, the Americans will consider also, and the alliance is part of also. They have to take care also of our alliance with them. No, it's wag naman yung patsa-patsa lang ibibigay sa atin. No, so. They should give what we deserve so far
Yes,
in terms of what we are asking from them.
So far, what we've gotten is a new delivery of a C-130. I think it's the second. At saka isang Cessna.
New delivery for an old C-130.
And a Cessna plane, I think. You know?
Yung
May
Cessna
sinama
plane,
sila
yes,
Cessna.
yes.
Gulat ako doon eh. So, to quote you, Mr. Cabalza, we don't know how to haggle. Is that another version for too easy? Binigay na kagad yung 4 na EDCA sites, wala pa masyado na ipapangako from the part. Because I remember this interview with the Philippine ambassador to Washington, Mr. Babes Romualdez, they were saying, he was very eager, no? That he was saying in so many ways that we will see the dramatic modernization of the armed forces as a result of this EDCA agreement. Are we seeing
Yes.
any hint of that?
Kaya nga po
Cessna.
that's what I'm waiting also, because otherwise, yung kapitbahay natin na mas malaki is also watching us, no? They might use us that also on their advantage. No, I hope the Americans are listening to us, and they will also be obliged to do what they promised for the Philippines, for the reasons that we are truthful to our alliance with them. No, that they should give what we deserve.
Is that sentiment
And,
shared by members of the armed forces, Mr. Cabalza? I wonder.
I agree. I think they are critical about it. They know because of course we've been doing a lot of comparative studies among major powers in terms of their strengths and capabilities, weaknesses, and what they offer to the Philippines. No, I think partly because they just don't talk because of their culture of obedience. The military, that's their culture, and we respect that. I hope that our friends from America will also comply with their promises to the Filipino people. We wanted them to be consistent with what they wanted for the Philippines, and they should give what they promised for the Filipino people.
Well, Pakistan has several aces up its sleeve din kasi. Number one, it's a nuclear power. Pakistan. Pakistan. Number two, it knows how to play off the Russians versus the US. It also buys...
Well, they know how to haggle. Exactly, precisely.
They
know
also
how to
buy
haggle.
equipment from the Russians.
They know how to haggle.
Major equipment. And number three, of course, you had the war on terror. The biggest attack on US soil, they needed Pakistan to...
Well, there was once upon a time they needed us for the war on terror, right? That's why they were very
Yeah,
much present
yeah.
in the southern part of the Philippines. But still, I don't know what we got, no, out of this accommodating U.S. military presence in our country. And I don't think even Pakistan has allowed as much U.S. presence on their soil, diba? And yet they got so much. Yun lang. The point of Mr. Cabalza is we do not know how to haggle, quote unquote.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
it.
Yun lang, simple lang yan.
Okay, sir. Well,
And also because some of our politicians do not understand in greater heights the concept of national security. That's why part of that is how to haggle, also how to fight for our national interest.
Right.
If our politicians do understand the greater heights of national security, they know how to haggle because that's one of their powers.
And one last point, you don't just aim for any F-16. Because F-16, they started producing that in 1976. So you have models that are 50 years old already or going on 50. So you want
Well,
newer blocks.
anything that the US can spare, I guess, Mr. Cabalza, no? Other than a Cessna. Yun lang siguro.
Yes,
So
yes, I hope so.
So thanks for joining us on Storycon, Mr. Chester Cabalza, a security analyst who delivers a lot of paper beef with
He's with the
members of our armed
NDCP
forces.
and in Command General Staff College. Sir, maraming salamat for joining us tonight.
Thank you for your
Maraming
time.
salamat po.
We just need to pause for a quick break. The story conference will be back right after this. Stay with us.
This is the Story Conference Group or the Storycon Group.
Ayaw na raw po nila ng extradition treaty. Ang kanila daw pong gagawin ng CIA, ng FBI, ng US Embassy at State Department, kasabwat ng ating gobyerno, ng Pangulong Marcos at ng First Lady at kung sino pa man ang nasa gobyerno, rendition ng kanilang gagawin. Ang rendition, ang ibig sabihin po, anumang oras pwede lang pasukin ang aking compound at ako ay kidnapin. It's not only rendition, but also elimination. If it is possible, pwede nila akong i-assassinate.
Only part of a very long, apparently long,
Kalahating oras
30
na
minutes.
pahayag na in-upload sa YouTube ni Pastor Apollo Kibuloy ng Kingdom of Jesus Christ.
who is snubbing the investigation or the summons from the House of Representatives and the Senate, and it's instead decided to go into hiding. Pero Bok, may highlights ka.
Oo, maganda yung mga binitawang salta ni
Ganado ka to
Pastor
take
Apollo Kibuloy sa
notes
kalahating oras
kanina
niya. Oo.
while this was happening.
Ang pagkakasabi pa niya, siya'y liligwakin. Liligwakin.
Yun ang ginamit niya. He used that word.
Paulit-ulit.
Liligwakin.
Ayon sa kanyang reliable sources, hindi ko lang alam kung hindi niya binanggit kung sino yung kanyang reliable sources, pero very reliable daw, liligwakin siya, hindi nidadaan sa extradition, dahil ayaw na raw ng extradition ng CIA, ng FBI, ng US Embassy, ng State Department.
Hold on, Boka. Liligwakin from the word ligwak, meaning to say eliminate.
Oo.
Ayan
Sabi
po,
nga,
para
eliminate.
It's not every day that you hear that word.
Oo.
Diba?
So, assassination na raw. Assassination. Teka ha. Hindi raw siya magpapa-aresto.
Yun.
Dahil daw, sapagkat ako po, this according to him, ako po ay siguradong papatayin. Kasi rendition ang kanilang gagawin, hindi extradition.
Yun. Ano ba kaibahan ng rendition sa extradition? Ang alam ko, we have an extradition treaty na
Yeah, with the US.
pag may krimen dito, pag may krimen sa US na kinumit, nandito yung suspect, the US all needs
May
to do
request,
is may request
extradition.
para ipadala natin doon. Hulihin natin dito at ipadala doon. And rendition, on the other hand, would mean
nag-i-swing si Pastor sa kanyang definitions or use of rendition and extradition. I think he's mixing them up altogether.
it's a word that was made famous during the War of Terror.
War on Terror, yeah.
War on
But
Terror.
actually, it's something very common eh. Rendition basically is handing over a person to another jurisdiction. So, extradition is the most common type of rendition.
Isang uri lang siya ng rendition.
Ng rendition. Meron kasi
From the word
rendition to
render.
It is the act of rendering or handing a suspect to a receiving state.
Yan.
It may be forcible or it may not be forcible.
Okay. So extradition is a form of rendition and it's
the most
legal.
common.
It's the most common, okay.
Form of rendition. Rendition nga is just the act of turning
Okay.
over. Yung nauso ng war on terror, global war on terror,
Right.
was extraordinary rendition by the US and its allies. Basically, what it means is
Covert yan.
Oo.
Dudukutin nila from one place.
Covert or overt. They pick up somebody from, for example, Afghanistan or Iraq. They bring them to a third country.
Okay, not the US,
Not
not
the
US oil.
Not US oil, in order to avoid having to use US laws and obey US laws. So they bring them, for example, they used to bring them to Guantanamo Bay in Cuba.
In Cuba.
Or in
The
the Middle
US
East.
military base in Cuba where US laws do not apply.
Do not apply.
Do not apply.
And
So
then-
they're able to hold in detention indefinitely and employ all sorts of
And they would
methods to extract information or whatever.
They would employ third country nationals for interrogation para hindi sila
Makasuhan din.
covered ng US.
Yun, okay. That's
Covered
a way to go around the
yeah.
US. Yeah.
So that's been very, very controversial for the longest time. But that is extraordinary rendition. It's not the same as yung pagkakagamit ni Pastor na elimination.
Yan. Oh.
So, yun. Meron pang ibang other juicy bits eh. Teka, let me go to it. Well, the most famous case of rendition is the abduction of Adolf Eichmann.
Okay, that happened a long time ago.
1960.
Adolf Eichmann is a Nazi war criminal. Okay, he was in South America. I
He fled to
understand.
Argentina. He was tracked down by the Mossad and kidnapped by the Mossad in 1960.
Extra legal yan po kasi hindi alam
Extra-legal.
ng Argentine government.
Umalma ang Argentina because they had a number of,
Kinidnap
kidnapped
yan.
Israel.
Oo. Para ibalik
Brought
sa Israel.
To Israel. I think where he was executed. If I
Where he
remember
faced
correctly.
trial and he was executed. Right.
So, among other things, sabi ni Pastor, binaliwala niya o he denied yung allegations of sexual abuse.
Okay. And he had a very interesting answer to that defense on his part.
Baka napahiya lang yung mga yun kasi nag-aagawan sila. And I quote, pinag-aagawan nila ako. Nananawagan daw yung iba sa kanilang mga magulang na mayaman na sana sila kung makuha nila si Pastor.
Makarelasyon.
Oo, makarelasyon. It's trying to be gentle here.
Looking for the right word para hindi po tayo mamisinterpret.
Pero tinanggihan daw niya at sila'y napahiya at ngayon sila'y binayaran para ibaliktad ang istorya.
So, mga spurned. Mga babae, we're presuming babae na who were rejected.
These are the assertions, These are the assertions of Pastor Apollo Kibuloy posted on their YouTube channel. It's a half an hour long. It's quite long, but it's interesting to listen to. Kasi, among other things, so he was insisting na he could
many allegations.
he could not have done any of these things because he is, of course, the appointed Son of God.
Okay.
So why would he do these things? Yun.
But he has effectively gone into hiding? Is that what he is saying?
Yeah.
Or he's not going to present himself to the Senate or the House investigation?
Hindi ako magpapa-aresto dahil sapagkat ako po'y siguradong papatayin. Yung sabi niya kanina. Let's bring in one of our reporters. Remember, the House Committee has also issued a subpoena against Pastor Kibuloy for next month. It's for the franchise hearing of SMNI.
The Senate is hearing the case involving the abuses within former members of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ. The House investigation naman po is may kinalaman doon sa franchise nila. Kasi doon sa pina-shutdown ng mga programa kung saan...
Pati pinasuspend operation.
Pinasuspend operation, pina-shutdown ng programa where the former President Rodrigo Duterte was a host or an interviewer of sorts.
Yan, let's bring in Marian Enriquez of News 5 reporting from the House of Representatives. Marian, chismisan mo kami dyan.
Yes. Regards to kay Pastor Kibuloy sa press con, sinabi ni Senior Deputy Speaker Dr. Gonzales na hindi nila naipadala na yung subpoena kina Pastor Kibuloy at March 12. Yun yung sinabi niya, March 12, magkita-kita po tayo ni Pastor Kibuloy.
March 12?
Ayun. Pero,
2 linggo na lang yan.
Yes, oo. So, bukod dyan, sa usapin nga ng pag-impita kay Pastor Kibuloy sa committee hearing, yung plinano, naalala ninyo kahapon, nakatagda dapat na today, this afternoon, yung Committee of the Whole, i-convene yung buong Kamara, lahat ng mga mababata sa Committee of the Whole, para nga talakayin na yung Economic Charter, Resolution of both Houses, Number 7, tulad nga rin sa Senado, na apyendahan yung 3 provision, economic provisions ng Constitution. Pero, hindi yan natuloy.
Bakit
Kasi,
daw?
meron daw mga inimbita silang mga resource persons na hindi available today. So, iputuloy na lang nila nila Monday next week.
Okay. So kasalanan ng resource persons, more than anything, it has nothing to do with, for example, maneuverings or whatever.
Hindi. So, yun muna, talagang isa-isa muna nila siguro yung schedule, sino-sino yung mga available na resource persons by Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Take note, PB, 3 araw kada linggo yung ilalaan nila para dito nga sa sinasabing Committee of the Whole. So, 1 o'clock yan hanggang 3:45 p.m. And di ba usually 3 o'clock ang session ng Kamara? So, imumove nila yan ng isang oras. Magiging 4 p.m. na yan simula next week. Para nga bigyang daan, itong Committee of the Whole, 1 o'clock hanggang 3:45 p.m.
3 times a week.
Marian, complete attendance ba yan?
Yan ang inaasahan natin. Patrick, kasi 309, no? May
Yan,
300
oo.
na members ng Congress, ng Kamara, ang inaasahan natin na doon na pupunta mismo talaga sa plenaryo.
Dapat man lang may
Para
quorum yan, di ba,
sumama na
Marian?
mag-participate. Yes, tama. Dapat may quorum din. Bilang tinawag ng Committee of the Whole. So, bibigyan natin sila ng chance, lahat ng members magtanong doon sa mga resource persons na iimbitahan nila. Para daw, lahat sama-sama na magtatanong doon na lang lahat. At parang it's also a way na sinasabi nga nila na magiging mas mabilis itong paraan na to kasi doon, imbis na yung regular na committee hearings, kung maalala po ninyo, kung sino lang yung miyembro ng committee na yon, for example, constitutional amendment, kung sino lang yung mga miyembro na yun lang yung may chance na magtanong sa mga resource persons. Linawagin ko ano yung mga gusto nilang alamin ng mga detalye about this. Pero dahil committee of the whole na, mas mabibigyan na sila ng chance ang bawat isa.
Pero Bok, ako yung tanong ko pa rin.
Kasi mahirap.
Oh, pero Bok, yung tanong ko pa rin, ano yung intention sila? What is their intent? Number one, after all the deliberations, are they just going to vote on it and see if they get 3/4? And yun na yun. Pag nag-3/4 sila na nabotohan, yun na yung kanilang yun na yung, that is in effect already 1/2 of the proposed push for constitutional amendment. They'll just wait lang for the Senate. O mag-intayin sila with the Senate. Ano ba talaga? What's the
Yes,
intention here?
hihintayin pa rin. So, ganun pa rin yung proseso. Ang nangyari lang is, binawa lang silang committee of the whole. So, pagkatapos, pagbutuhan ng komite, isasalang sa plenaryo, dadaan pa rin sa sponsorship and debate, sa second reading, third reading, hanggang maipasa nila itong Article 7. And then, isa-transmit nila sa Senado yung kanilang kopya.
May third reading pa yan.
Yeah.
So parang legislation?
Yes. Well, ang mga resolution kasi parang gano'n din ang measures, di ba?
Okay. Yeah, that makes
Pagkatapos
sense.
ng committee of the whole,
Oo.
tapos i-adapt siya. So, pag in-adapt na ng buong plenaryo, saka ita-transmit ngayon sa Senado, hihintay naman nila ngayon kung ano yung gagawin ng Senado. Ngayon ang tanong, when it comes to sa sinasabi nga natin, nasalaki kahapon na, ang Senado version, RBH 66, voting separately. Dito sa Kamara, yung nakalagay doon, Congress, so voting jointly, 3/4 of the members of the Congress.
Pause muna tayo dyan. Nakalagay talaga dyan na voting jointly, or we're assuming it's voting jointly because it says Congress with a 3/4 vote? There's a difference eh. Does it specifically say voting jointly in RHB 7? RB
Walang
7?
specifically sinabing voting jointly, pero kung babasahin ninyo, yung RBH 7, all members of the Congress, 3/4 voting, kung sino yung magbubuhat ng 3/4.
Jointly.
So, all
We
members.
could infer
So,
that
tinanong
because
natin si Congressman Felipe kanina. Paano yun, sir? Yung Senate version, separately, malinaw. Yung sa inyo, jointly, ano mangyayari? Ang sagot naman niya, we'll cross the bridge when we get there. So, ganun pa rin, hihintayin pa rin muna nila kung ano muna mangyayari.
kung makakalusot, di ba? Kung
Can
pumayag nga
you
naman.
read that phrase again? And what does it say in RBH 7? How is it referred to?
All members of Congress, Marian, you were mentioning?
All members, yes. Ito. Balikan natin sandali.
Kasi yan din na nasa Constitution eh. All
pareho
members
ng
of Congress, three-fourths vote of all members of Congress, parang ganun.
Tama.
So if they just adopted it from the Constitution, then you still go back to the same question na there's nothing specific.
Hindi nila nilinaw, pero ang nakalagay nga doon,
Because in the Constitution it says
pero
three-fourths
without
vote of all members of Congress eh. Ganun nakalagay din eh. So baka they just adopted it from the Constitution. But if that is the case nga, then you go back to square one na it's undetermined because it is not specified. That's why I was we just have to be careful lang, mind you lang, we have to be careful when you say jointly that if it's specified or not eh.
Okay. Tama. Of all its members lang ang nakalagay. So,
Yeah,
kailangan
diba?
natin specify kung jointly.
Yeah. Yun lang. Yeah. Anyway, a good thing you pointed it out. Let's just be mindful of that. So yun. But that is something they have to clear up. I know wala pa doon, pero eventually yun na magiging yun na magiging bardagulan kumbaga.
Basically, Marian, Bok, the House is sticking to its position. to its to this position, it's all members of Congress.
Yes.
Right. And the Senate is expected to
Yes.
stick to its position also that they should be voting separately. But what's also clear, Marian, for everybody who's watching and trying to follow this story, this very convoluted story, is that the House is also not waiting for the Senate to finish its resolution, to finish whatever bill it wants to,
I thought they were
and
supposed to
they're
wait, eh.
acting on their own na rin. Right, Marian?
Yes. Gusto kasi nila magkaroon na rin ng deliberation on their end. Para daw sabay na gumugulong, meron ng
Oo.
Senado, meron ng Kamara.
Which is a departure from a previous announcement or statement from Congress. I think
Tama.
it was Congressman Joey Salcedo said, hihintayin nila anong magiging
Adam.
resulta ng Senado at aprobahan nila.
Sabi nga i-adapt
Ganun.
nila eh.
Ha?
I-adapt daw
Adapt
nila eh.
Ganun.
Yan din ang
Kasi yun ang-
instruction daw ni Speaker noon.
Right. Kasi ito, yan din yung original na, I think, solusyon o compromise o whatever you want to
Malaki
call
yan.
it, na
January
galing
11.
sa presidente himself, right?
Tama.
Pero meron, bakit ganun? Kung yun ang instruction ni Speaker, bakit iba nangyayari?
Di ba sinabi na nga nahayaan na yung Senado mag-lead, ano?
Oo.
Di ba?
Eto pero sinabi naman nila hindi naman daw sila nagmamadali.
Oh, yun mo pala eh.
Kanina may soundbite din sina Majority Leader Manix Dalipe. Ito sinabi pa ni Vice Chairman ng House Appropriations Committee, si Stella Kimbo, yung Marikina representative. Sinabi niya, just to assure you, hindi po kami shortcut. In fact, para pong repeat performance na lang na yung ginagawa rin nila. Kasi kung maalala po ninyo nga, even last year, they pushed for charter change. Yun nga lang kon-kon. So nag-road show pa yung mga yan. Pumunta tayo sa Pampanga. Kinover natin sila, diba? Mindanao, Luzon, Visayas. Inisa-isa nila yan para magkaroon ng consultation, public consultation. So sinasabi nila na hindi na sila parang nagmamadali, ginagawa lang nila yung part nila para nga daw sa isang healthy debate and discussion. So gagawa na rin sila ng sarili nila.
Para sa bayan.
Okay, maraming salamat,
Para sa
Maan.
bayan.
Okay, Maan, maraming salamat. Maan Enriquez po, News 5 correspondent dyan po sa may Batasan Pambansa or otherwise known as the House of
Congress.
Representatives.
Okay. Ebok, let's bring in our news senator, one news senator, Jovenal Francisco. Joey.
Yes.
Afternoon,
Joey, what's the big...
Patrick and Ed.
Ano malaking story ang pinagtatalunan?
Siyempre, Kibuloy, Pastor
Hindi nga.
Kibuloy yung main
Okay.
na
Jo-
hindi himay ng mga editors
Joey,
natin. Pero
sa-
before that, Patrick, hindi ko alam kung nasabi nyo na meron ng reaksyon ang US Embassy in Manila doon sa naging mga pahayag. Nasabi nyo na ba? Kung hindi
Wala,
pa,
hindi pa.
sinasabi lang naman
Go.
doon, sinasabi lang doon ng US Embassy in Manila ay we are confident that Kibuloy will face justice for his heinous crimes. Questions about legal proceedings should be directed to the US Department of Justice. Maikli lang yon pero naniniwala sila na yung kinoconsider daw nila na the most wanted list o na yung si Kibuloy being part of that most wanted list sa FBI will soon face justice in the US.
Ako. So the US is, we're seeing the US leaning on this thing. Medyo lumilit mo. Okay. Jovi, so what angle? This Kibuloy story has many angles. It's big. It's many angles.
Of course,
he said a
of
mouthful.
course,
He said a lot of things. So
yes.
what angle are we looking at for One News and One PH later? Anong
Okay,
pinaka-angulo natin?
1PH na prime time. Of course, we are leaning towards the yung mga statement about women. Yung 'di ba? Yung mga Potiphar's wife. Hindi ko alam si Ed nga basta ko tanongin Ed, ano ba
Hindi
ibig
ko alam
sabihin?
yun eh.
Binigit mo kanina
But-
na
May
Binigit mo
phrase ang
kanina.
ginamit eh. Poti, how do you spell that? Alam mo, Google it.
Potiphar's wife syndrome pero halos dinefine din naman ni Pastor Apollo Kibuloy at sinabi nga niya na it's because wala siyang pinakasalan, so itong mga to ay galit, so merong minamalign siya. Parang ganun yung defense niya dyan. So
There's a figure of
pinapag-iwas sa
speech
mga
for that,
hate.
Jovi, di ba? Hell hath no fury. Parang ganon.
Yeah.
Ang defense
Parang
ni,
ganon. Yes. So again, syempre of course we'll wrap it up with all the other implications nung kanyang mga statement, pero syempre maglilid tayo towards that sa 1PH which is our Filipino or
Okay.
Tagalog
Ito po.
newscast.
I found it
Pero
na.
yes, go ahead.
Kasi si
Ed.
Kibuloy referred to Potiphar's wife syndrome. Potiphar is Potiphar. Potiphar's wife. Potiphar's wife is a figure in the Hebrew Bible and the Quran. She was the wife of Potiphar, the captain of the Pharaoh's guard during the time of Jacob and his 12 sons. According to the book of Genesis, she falsely accused Joseph of attempted rape after he rejected her sexual advances, resulting in his imprisonment.
So
Yun ang hugot niya.
the pastor found a biblical analogy to his own to what he's experiencing right
His
now.
claim to what his
Okay.
experience.
Pero Jove, this statement from the U.S. Embassy came out fast, okay?
Fast, yes.
And I think it's very significant, no?
It only means that they are really monitoring yung appearance sana ni Pastor Apollo Quiboloy kung susundin niya yung subpoena ng dalawang kapulungan natin. Pero hindi nga tama ka rin, Patrick, na I think the other angle is yung hiding. He's going to hiding na talaga at hindi siya lalabas to grant any
Correct me if I'm wrong,
investigation.
Jovi, no? Correct me if I'm wrong. I think this is the first time that the United States Embassy has issued a statement on Quiboloy.
Maliban
Previously
dun
to
sa
this, what we...
paglalabas sila nung una pa yung paglalabas sila nung nasa listahan nga ng most wanted list at kung bakit yung explanation doon. Pero yung pag-react doon sa mga sumunod na yon, parang first.
Yeah. Because previous to all of this, what we were getting was a story direct from the FBI, from the US
Yes.
side, okay?
From the US.
Pero ito, the US Embassy is actually
In Manila. Yeah.
in Manila.
Makes you
So,
wonder, though. It makes you wonder when or if or when the U.S. State Department will, the U.S. Justice Department will ask for extradition.
Officially.
Because I understand
when
it
that
has
is
not
coming.
yet asked for any extradition. But you have to file a petition.
I think yun sa
Well,
part
this
ng
is the
statement,
closest right now, Bok. This statement from the U.S. Embassy is the closest thing to an actual request for
Yeah.
extradition.
I think yun I think yung part nung statement ng US Embassy in Manila na sinasabi na if meron pang other issues, i-direct na yung question sa US Department of Justice kasi sila yung magpa-file niyan.
Right.
Yung mga request na yan. If
DOJ
ever.
to DOJ ng US to DFA natin, passed on to DOJ natin.
Yes.
Then passed on to regional
The U.S.
trial court.
Embassy, it will go through the U.S. Embassy here, right?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
But in the end, I think it
So-
goes to the regional trial court.
Okay, so maybe all the U.S. Embassy here is waiting for is a formal request from the DOJ, from the U.S. DOJ.
Because extradition can be for punishment. Ibig sabihin, may findings na hatulan na at hindi pa rin hindi siya makuha dahil sa ibang bansa. It
Or-
can also be for prosecution.
Yeah.
In this case, it would be the latter.
For prosecution.
Prosecution, because this case has yet to go to court, right?
So, aside, yan ang pinaka-main na topic doon sa ating mga newscast after this program sa both news channels natin. Siyempre, meron ding item doon about former President Rodrigo Duterte dahil doon sa ginawang, hindi yata nasabi ni Imaan sa report niya kayo kasi nag-focus kayo doon sa charter change. Yung pagpirma ng 53 na Mindanao lawmakers against doon sa paghiwalay nga ng Mindanao sa ating bansa.
Jovi, we have a few minutes left. I think I would like to go straight to the other story, the lighter side of the news. I think that's very important because
entertainment side.
galing sa kapatid
Yes.
natin yan, kay
Yes,
Christopher
yes,
Min. So, what is that statement all about na pati yung mga ibang networks ay interesado makuha yung clip?
Yeah,
Ni
it's
Christopher
really
Min.
actually it's well, alam naman natin pag sinanay Christy, syempre emotional yung kanyang mga statement but basically kapag inintindi mo yung buong, it's an hour of solo Nanay Christy without Christy
On
Fermin
her radio
without a
program,
partner.
on her teleservisyo program, yes, saying,
Yes. Sinasabi lang niya doon na wala siyang sinabing name. And we reviewed this, right? Personally, because we handle tayo ang nag-handle ng program, so we checked on that. Wala namang names talaga. And she's saying na she's a victim of, yung mga vloggers na nilalagay yung mga words and names sa
Okay.
persona niya kapag ginamit na yung mga clips niya na nilalagay doon sa ating programa at sa programa niya na outside our channel, which is SNN, yung kanyang sariling vlog. So, alam daw niya na iningatan daw niya yon, pero pagdating daw kapag ginamit na yung mga cut-ups niya, nilalagyan na ng mga muka, nilalagyan ng mga names. Pero siya
Okay,
daw,
a bit
ready
of
daw
background,
siyang
Jovi.
ilabas yun.
This is regarding yung kay Dominic Roque.
Dominic
Okay.
Roque and involvement
and
sa
reports.
politicians. It's about the prenuptial agreement. So ganun.
And Christopher Min making it clear that she did not mention any name. She did not drag the name of Mr. Bullet Halaslos or Mr. Bong Suntay in this controversy. Okay. And then the connection was actually made by the vloggers who picked up her lead or her blind items. Anyway, yun ang nangyari.
She named one vlogger. Yung isa sa mga sinusundan ng mga netizen pagdating sa showbiz news. So ganun yung takbo. So hinihintay niya. Wala, yun naman daw statement na nilabas kahapon ay hindi pagsasabi na may kaso na isasampa sa kanya. Pero kung sakaling meron daw ay ready naman ilabas yung resibo ng mga episodes para makita na hindi siya nag-mention ng name. Yung explanation ni Christopher Min sa programa niya kanina.
Okay. Thank you very much, Jovi Francisco. Ready na to go to Sa Totoo Lang
STL.
for his
Eto na, nasa booth.
program.
Malapit na. Okay.
Okay.
See you.
Thank
See
you,
you,
Joey. And those are the stories that are the headlines, the stories behind the headlines. I'm Ed Lingao.
I'm Patrick Paez. Join the Story Conference again tomorrow at 4 p.m. This is One News, all sides, all the time. This is the Story Conference Group or the Storycon Group.